So we're on Zoom and we're on Facebook Live, and I'm giving everybody the chance to hop on. While we're waiting for other people to join, maybe we can do a quick check-in. Let's try to do this. Let's try to kind of check into our bodies right now. How are our bodies feeling at the moment? How's our spirit feeling at the moment? If you can put it in the chat. What expectations do you have for today? What intentions have you set for today? Briselli, I feel relaxed and excited to be here. That's amazing. My body's feeling tired. Yeah. Well, it is Sunday. My body's feeling tired. Sharna K, do you know where in your body that tiredness is? Sometimes we carry it on our shoulders. Sometimes we carry it in our chest. Oh, thank you so much. My lower back, shoulders, and neck, yeah. Yeah, sometimes it's really not about wanting to change what's going on in our bodies, but just being aware. All right, out of respect for everyone's time, we'll get started in the next minute or so, okay? All right, so I'm gonna introduce myself. For those of you that do not know me, my name is Carolyn Laura, and I am a licensed clinical social worker. I currently work full-time for Florida Blue as a community social worker, helping people to get resources in the community. I'm also in private practice with emergent counseling. And if you want any information about this after our meeting today, please reach out to me at carolynlaura12@gmail.com. My intention for today was to give people access to relaxation, to information. That's something that I feel very passionate about, that we should all be able to have access to events like this. So throughout the workshop, please feel free to put any questions that you may have that may come up throughout the workshop. This is a judgment-free zone. We're coming here for healing, for relaxation. So I want everybody to feel comfortable and to know that we're getting, this is why I called it Healing Circle. These are healing circles because we're getting together to find our healing and to gain more information. All right, anybody else? I want you guys to kind of check in with your bodies and let me know what's going on. What are you feeling? What intentions have you set for today? All right, so today we're going to talk a little bit about relationships. We're going to talk about those dynamics. We're going to talk about attachment a little bit. We're going to talk about some self-love. And I really want this to be, like I said, interactive. So please share information or ask any questions that you may have about what I'm going to talk about today. Also, towards the end, we're going to do a couple of relaxation techniques, things that I use with my clients that they have found very helpful and that I use in my daily life as well, that I have found extremely helpful for me. So we're going to do some of that. And toward the end, I want to finish off with one of my favorite techniques, which is EFT tapping, which is emotional freedom technique. And with this technique, we're allowed to kind of let go of, well, maybe not let go, it kind of lessens the charge on very difficult or maybe hurtful, painful, traumatic situations. But we can also use that to kind of expand on the positive things as well. And that's kind of how we're going to use it. Since this is a setting with a few people, we're going to be doing that as well. Okay. Feel free to put your questions, comments, concerns in the chat box. or you're more than welcome to unmute yourself and have a conversation that way. Okay, so relationships. I love that we did this today for Valentine's Day, because relationships can be a little daunting sometimes. I have a question before we get started, before we get into the relationships. What do you guys think a healthy relationship looks like? What does a healthy relationship look like for you? Giving each other emotional support. Yes, I like it. Definitely that emotional support is something that is extremely important. Sometimes we focus on things that are more material, but that emotional support, that feeling that somebody is there for us when we need them, is very important. Very good. All right, so what does communication, trust, honesty? Very good. Yes, communication is key. One thing that can be noted in relationships is that everybody's relationship is different, and different things work for different people. But communication is something that will help us know what works for us and what doesn't work for us. Very good. Respect and appreciation, yes. So I'm going to talk about some things that are healthy in relationships and some things that might not be as healthy. In relationships, like we mentioned before, we have trust, we have support. The person isn't trying to control us. We have boundaries. I'm going to go into boundaries in a little bit. We respect each other. We aren't afraid of conflict. So this is a big one, because a lot of people think, oh, I wasn't paying attention to our live. Thank you, Jean. Shared interest, open communication, common goals, deep respect, love, and companionship. Yes, very good. So sometimes we think that a good relationship or a healthy relationship is one that's free of conflict, and that's just not true. Conflict is extremely healthy for relationships, because that means that we're talking about things. You want the best for the other person. You don't try to change the other person. So some things that we can kind of have a general consensus about that are maybe unhealthy is maybe a relationship that is fueled by fear. Or sometimes we're in relationships where the thing that brings us to this person or makes us close to this person is really our pain, instead of positive and beautiful and wonderful things. Can anyone else tell me anything that they have found before when they have been in a toxic relationship or they have been in an unhealthy relationship? We also sometimes ignore each other's boundaries. Tries to get something by giving, so we have expectations sometimes, unrealistic expectations. When you get too comfortable with each other and no personal space, exactly. Abuse, verbal or physical, absolutely. I don't know if you guys noticed, I'm gonna put it in again at the end of this workshop, but actually I put in the abuse hotline, domestic abuse hotline information, and the suicide hotline as well, just as resources. With the global pandemic, not only we're seeing a lot, it's also a mental health pandemic, and we're seeing a lot of issues coming up in relationships where we have somebody that's home with their partner and their partner is abusive. So this is definitely a big issue that is happening right now, and sometimes we get stuck, definitely feeling stuck in the past and not wanting to hurt the other person. Correct. Sometimes we're stuck in the past, and that doesn't allow us to move forward. And I'm actually going to talk about that, because sometimes we're stuck in the past regarding that relationship, but most of the things that are coming up in our relationships, most of the issues that we see coming up in our relationships are really caused by things that happen in our early childhood, things that shaped us and molded us, and now we're showing up in our relationships with some of these these issues. All right, so there's 3 things that I'm really gonna highlight when it comes to relationships, and why it's so hard to obtain, why we're looking for that healthy relationship, and sometimes it feels like, why do I keep falling into the same pattern? Why do I keep ending up in this same situation over and over? So the first thing that we're going to talk about is boundaries and what that kind of means. And as I'm talking, you guys are more than welcome to put in the chat what boundaries are to you, or what are some boundaries that you have in your relationships. So with boundaries, that's something that we also start forming at a young age. When we have histories of abuse sometimes, or we have histories of trauma, or our family cultures don't have boundaries, it really makes it hard for us to come into a healthy relationship as adults, because we haven't developed those boundaries yet. And sometimes a lot of the psychotherapy process, the process that we go through in therapy, is uncovering where we do not have boundaries, and how we can start relearning and reparenting ourselves so that we're able to develop those boundaries. Communication only being one-sided. You don't know what you know. People are not mind readers. Communicating needs. Absolutely. Absolutely. India Hudson says, learned behaviors. Yeah, it takes, sometimes for some of us, it takes a long time to be able to develop those boundaries. Boundaries would mean maybe not allowing certain things in a relationship, not allowing people to speak to you in a certain way, or always allowing there to be a part for you, space for you. So what happens is sometimes people go into relationships and they're so excited. There's so much love. There's so much, wonderful, beautiful things, but we become enmeshed. We forget that we are separate people. And like Briselli said, one person has something in their mind and something that they think is healthy and feels good, and somebody has something else in their mind that they think is healthy and feels good to them. All right, the next thing that I'm going to talk about is those open communication. A lot of people mention this, having that open communication. Why is that so difficult? Why do you guys think it's so difficult for us to be able to communicate openly? So I'm going to be mentioning some things because of misunderstandings. Absolutely. So one thing is our expectations for our relationships. Many of us have an idea of what love and relationships are. And we have these expectations that have been brewing inside of us since we were children. We show up into our relationships with these expectations. However, your partner has his own expectations of what a relationship should be like. And we have all these expectations, but we don't talk about them, right? We fall in love, we get married, right? But we never take the time to really talk about what feels right for one another, and what one person's expecting and what the other person is expecting. And that's why we have a lot of divorces, and that's why we have a lot of failed relationships, because we're not talking about our expectations until the person that we're with doesn't meet them. And that's why that open communication is so important. We cannot be afraid of conflict in a relationship. Conflict, if you're able to overcome conflict with your partner, that sometimes even helps to build an even better relationship, where you know that even though there's conflict, you'll be able to overcome it. When it becomes unhealthy is constant conflict. That is when we would say, okay, maybe we need to talk about what's going on here, what's showing up here. And then the last point that I'm going to talk about as far as the relationships is acceptance. Sometimes we go into relationships and we think that we're going to be able to change the other individual, that maybe he did this that was upsetting, or maybe she did this that was upsetting, but she's gonna change, or she's gonna do this, or she's gonna do that, because we're already building the relationship that we want in our head. A lot of heartache can be saved by being able to accept the person exactly where they're at. And we're going to talk about this a little bit more later. One of the reasons why it's so hard for us to accept the person exactly where they're at is because we're unable to accept ourselves exactly where we're at. All right, so most of our relationship issues, like I mentioned before, they're going to stem from those early experiences. They're going to stem from the type of relationships that we had with our mother, with our father, and with our family. All of the things that occurred while we were children, we find a way to kind of go back into those patterns as adults and create those same patterns and those same types of relationships with our significant other. So if you were in a relationship with a mom or a dad or family where there was poor boundaries, you probably are not going to be able to advocate for yourself. The good news is that through therapy and through healing, we're able to rewire our brain. Our brain is wired one way, but through different experiences, we're able to rewire our brains to look at certain situations differently. And while we go to therapy, that's part of that learning process and that rewiring that we create for ourselves. Sharna K, throat chakra is not fully open, fear of judgment. Exactly. So we want to be loved. Everybody wants to be loved, right? But we ourselves have stuff going on in our hearts, in our souls. So when we step into the relationship, that stuff starts coloring everything that we do, coloring everything that we feel, coloring our thoughts about relationships and about love. Jean says, oftentimes growing up without healthy examples of effective communication, unrealistic expectations, and not recognizing the difficulty it takes to maintain a healthy relationship and work involved. Absolutely. Absolutely. So whatever we experienced when we were young really pours in, and we don't have an example of what healthy love looks like. We don't have an example of what healthy love looks like for ourselves, and we don't have a healthy example of what healthy love looks like for the other person. Another thing that I think is important to talk about, and please, 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 if you have any comments about this, I will be more than happy to receive them, is about our attachment styles, right? How did we form an attachment with our mother or with our father? A lot of those attachment styles will come into play when we are adults and we are trying to function within a relationship. So what I mean to say about this is, let's say we had a mother that was extremely attentive, that we knew that when she left, she was gonna come back, and we felt safe and we felt loved. Then we tend to attract and be in relationships where we feel safe and we feel loved. Now, if we were maybe neglected by a parent, or a parent was very volatile, meaning one way one day, one way another day, we develop those attachment styles, and we tend to attract individuals in our life that also have a similar attachment style. So the way that we are able to form that attachment and learn about love through our parents is what we carry to our relationships. Okay? Sometimes we have fears about expressing love. And for people that were not able to form a very healthy attachment with their parents, there are a lot of fears regarding expressing love and being in love, right? We're always afraid of what we don't know. There's a lot of other stuff that plays in the background too when we're in relationships. And so there's our past traumas. there's divorce, there's abuse, there's neglect. All of those things really color the way that we show up in our relationships. So if we had, for instance, our parents getting a divorce when we were younger, I'm not saying that you're going to grow up and that you're going to be, that you're also going to get a divorce, but you're going to have a lot of fear around love and what that means, and how for your parents, maybe that was something that was temporary. So when you step into your relationship, a lot of the things that occur are going to be colored by that fear. Has anyone ever seen this play out in their own lives? Has anyone, you can just say yes, you don't have to say. Have you seen this play out for you? Any feelings, comments, or concerns about this? Or questions maybe? Yes, Jean says yes, absolutely, yes. So a lot of times it's kind of like the self-fulfilling prophecy. The relationships that we have affirm what we already feel about ourselves. And that's where the self-love aspect comes in. And so maybe you grew up in a healthy home and you had a very healthy attachment, but there was a situation or something that happened that led for you to not have the best self-worth. So now when we step into these relationships, a lot of times they affirm what we're already feeling about ourselves. And that's why a lot of the work, when we talk about relationships, we would think that it would be work that we would be doing with the other person, or because the other person did this to you or hurt you or caused pain in your life. And I'm not saying that this was not the case, but what I am saying is that a lot of the work that comes in play with these relationships is really building upon our own self-esteem and our own self-worth, really building those boundaries for ourselves and increasing our communication skills. So now we're walking into a relationship with parts of us that are more healed, and we're able to kind of take away a lot of those things that get in the way of us being able to have healthy, happy, and fulfilling relationships. So a lot about the therapeutic process, like I mentioned before, is uncovering those traumatic experiences, is really being able to go back and find, where did this start? Where did this belief about myself start? When did I start believing that this was okay in a relationship? It gives us the opportunity to go back, see what needs to be healed, which sometimes is a painful process. You know, a lot of people imagine healing as this beautiful, happy process. And sometimes it can be that, and that is at the end of the road. But that the healing process really can be difficult, can be hard, can be painful. Sometimes we need to feel feelings that we don't want to feel. But that's okay, because at the end of that, we find that well-being that we want. So sometimes that road is a little hard, but we're always at the end of that able to obtain those things that are important to us. So, and have healthier relationships. So I have this quote that I absolutely love from Tony Robbins, and it says, "The quality of your life is the quality of your relationships." How does that land for you guys? How does that feel for you guys? The quality of your life is the quality of your relationships. Thank you, Ashley. You said so true. I love that Tony Robbins said this, because it is absolutely true. The quality of your life is the quality of your relationships. We as human beings are wired to be together, to be in unison, to have relationships, to have friends, to feel that companionship, right? This is very important for our mental health. This is why the COVID-19 pandemic has been so difficult and so hard on so many individuals, because it's taking that away from a lot of us being able to form those connections and have those connections, even though thank God for Zoom and these other things that we have that that kind of help us, but it's not quite the same. What happens is that sometimes we get hurt in relationships, and we make a decision, be it conscious or unconscious, to walk away and to not be in relationships and friendships. And so this starts to take a toll on our mental health, because we need that support. We need those words of affirmation. We need that validation. India Hudson, I agree. Thank you so much for participating. Briselli says yes to all of it. All right, so now we're gonna go into the relaxation piece. Please, like I said, feel free to let me know how this has landed for you, how this has felt for you, if there's any questions that you have about anything that I have mentioned. All right, so let's go into it. Let's go into the relaxation mode. We're gonna do some breathing exercises, and then after these breathing exercises, we're gonna do a couple of visualizations. And after this, we will get into the EFT tapping. This EFT tapping for me has been invaluable during times of extreme stress, during times of a lot of anxiety, depression, just any issues that I myself have had, or my clients as well. And it's so funny because a lot of people, like, while they're doing it, they think it's funny because you are tapping on your meridian points, and they think it feels funny and it makes you yawn and all this other stuff. But it's just so beneficial. You can feel yourself releasing that stress and releasing those anxieties. All right. So one thing that's very important, if you don't get anything out of today, the one thing as far as relaxation and finding that center for ourselves, the one thing that I would say is the deep breathing is just so helpful. You're oxygenating your brain. It causes you to slow down. It brings us back, because usually we live either in the future, which is what causes a lot of our anxieties, or we live in the past, which is what causes a lot of our depressions. So when we're able to breathe, it's kind of like that anchor that brings us back to exactly where we are in this moment. And it's free. You can do it anywhere. It doesn't matter. You can do it at the bank while you're waiting in the line. You can do it when you're stuck in traffic. It's just so amazing for so many different things, and it's very simple. A lot of us are breathing, but we're not taking those deep, full breaths that are going to allow for us to really, really benefit from that relaxation and that oxygenation in the brain. So one thing that's very important, and if you want to know if you're doing this correctly or if you're breathing correctly, take your hand and put it right here on your diaphragm, okay? When you are breathing correctly, what you're doing is you're contracting and you're expanding your diaphragm, okay? If it helps, you can imagine yourself or picture yourself breathing in that oxygen, white light, positivity, and letting go of any negativity, anything that is bothering you, anxiety, frustration, whatever it is, you're just letting it go. Okay, so we'll start now. When you breathe in, you try to take that nice full breath. And when you breathe out like if you're breathing out through a straw. Like this. All right. So go ahead and take your hand and put it on your diaphragm. And like I said, you want to feel that expansion and that contraction of the diaphragm. So we're going to do about 4 breaths. We're going to breathe in and breathe out. One more time, breathe in. And breathe out. Breathe in. And breathe out. As you breathe out, you should feel it contracting. As you breathe in, you should feel it expanding. Let's do one more. Breathe in. Hold it for a little and let it out. Breathe in one more time. And breathe out. If you would like, you can put in the chat how that felt for you. Now that we're there, I want us to kind of set an intention for our relaxation. What would you like to get from this? Where would you like to be? How would you like to see yourself? Go ahead and put your hand on your heart if you're able to. And let's do one more breathing in and breathing out. If you can, close your eyes. If you feel comfortable. If not, you can leave them open. There's no problem. I want you to close your eyes. And I want you to picture a huge chalkboard. And in that chalkboard, I want you to see written all of the negative thoughts, feelings, emotions that you have about love. Maybe for you, written on that chalkboard is going to be heartbreak, pain, feeling alone. Maybe your chalkboard doesn't have that much on it. Maybe it's full. Take a good look at it. Tune into it. Tune into your heart energy, your heart center. And let's start taking some deep breaths. And as we take those deep breaths, I want you to visualize yourself erasing everything that is written on that chalkboard. Breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out. All of those negative feelings, pains, hurts, challenges. Maybe it wasn't a significant other that hurt you. Maybe it was a friend or a family member. Just take your time to get rid of it all. You have the power to do so. With our hands still on our heart, and once you have erased everything that is on your chalkboard, I want you to close your eyes and think about somebody that you love very, very much. This could be a child. This could be somebody who has passed or who's still with us. Think about that person. Think about how that person makes you feel. Think about how just looking at that person makes you feel. And if you feel your heart expanding, I want you to notice that. I want you to notice where your heart is right now. Maybe this person makes you smile. Maybe this person was the only person that taught you love, or that showed you an example of what love is. Let's breathe in and out and expand on that feeling for ourselves. Breathe in and breathe out. Now I challenge you guys, if you feel comfortable, you do not have to do this, to unmute yourselves so that we can say this together. So that we can say this to that person that we love. With our eyes closed and thinking about this person, let's say to them, may you be happy.
May you be happy.
May you be healthy.
Be healthy.
May you learn to ride the waves of life.
May you learn to ride the waves of life.
No matter what you are given.
No matter what you are given.
Now this is turning that love back on you. May I be happy.
May I be happy.
May I be healthy.
May I be healthy.
May I learn to ride the waves of life, no matter what I am given.
Waves of life.
And this is for us as a group, for everyone who showed up for themselves today. May we be happy.
May we be happy.
May we be healthy.
May we be healthy.
May we learn to ride the waves of life, no matter what we are given.
May we learn to ride the waves of life.
Thank you so much for doing that. We're gonna get into we're gonna get into that EFT tapping piece, but before we do so, I would like to know how this felt for you.
It definitely feels like my heart has opened up a little bit, or I feel like a little weight has been lifted off my shoulders. I feel like a little refreshed.
Yeah, thank you, Jessica, for that. And that is what I was hoping for us to feel our hearts expanding and to see how powerful our hearts really are. You know, science is getting closer and closer to really understanding the heart. And it says that they're starting to find neurons in our heart. So a lot of the time we'll hear, my heart led me wrong, or I followed my heart and I got into this bad relationship or situation. But your heart is actually a very powerful and beautiful thing that if we focus on it and tune into it, we're able to expand on it. And not only are we able to create that for ourselves, but everyone around us will also feel that expansion in our hearts. So thank you so much, Jessica. Anybody else had anything they wanted to share? India Hudson said, I felt relieved. Briselli said, yes, relieved. Okay. All right, so let's go into my favorite part, the EFT tapping part. So I'm going to show you the points, okay? EFT tapping was developed using ancient Chinese acupuncture. And they took that and they they mixed it in with positive psychology, and they have what we call EFT tapping, emotional freedom technique. We're tapping on these meridian points in our bodies, in our, these energy centers in our bodies. And when we tap on those with these intentions, we're actually releasing the stress. This is something that goes back to being able to allow us to think more clearly. When we're in our trauma, when we're in our pain, our head, our brain is in that survival mode, the fight or flight mode. And so we make decisions, or we have feelings that maybe if we were able to tap into our prefrontal cortex, we wouldn't have those feelings, or we would be able to kind of sort through those things more. With EFT tapping, I see this a lot. We're able to access that part of us, that intelligent part of us, and we're really able to gain that access. Sometimes it's blocked and we're not able to gain access to that beautiful part of ourselves. And before we start, I'm just going to say this. Most of the therapy practice is about doing that, about gaining access to those intelligent and parts of us that are full of wisdom and already know what to do. Okay? This is just about uncovering that. So let's start with the tapping points. So the first tapping point is right here, right there. And you just tap lightly. Remember, we want to be gentle with ourselves. It's just a light tap. As we do it, we can breathe, so we can start doing some breathing. That's that first point right there. The second point, you can do this in different, people tap different points at different times, but this is easier to remember because you start at your head and you start going down. And we can do some deep breathing right here. The next point is right here, right between our eyebrows. And we can do a deep breath right here. The next point is at the end of our eyebrows, at our temples. And we can do a deep breath right here as well. The next point is under our eye. And we can do a deep breath right here. You might yawn, you might tear, all of these things are normal. You might crack up and start laughing. All of those things are absolutely normal. What you'll also notice is that those points that feel a little tender might be, or what feels the best for you, you can just stay on that point, and it gives you the same effect as if you were tapping all the other points. All right, the next point is right under your nose. And we can do a deep breath right here. We can do it under the lip. Another deep breath. This one's my favorite one. If you have anxiety, if you struggle with anxiety, this is a wonderful point. If you ever feel like you're going to have a panic attack or out of breath because you're so stressed or anxious, this point right here with some breathing is really, really, really helpful. There's many ways to do it. You can do it like this. You can also put your hand on your heart, and you can do it like this as well. Just tapping lightly and breathing. The next point is going to be under your arm. You can go ahead and tap under your arm. You can do a deep breath here. And the next and last point is going to be right between your pinky and your ring finger. You're going to tap on there nice and light. This point right here, if you're going through a very, very stressful situation, like this is like if you found out that somebody just passed away, if a family member has cancer, you are very sick, if there's something very, very serious, this point right here really, really helps with that. And you just tap it lightly and do some more of that deep breathing. So this usually comes with a script. Sometimes people tap on these points as they're talking about things that are very distressing. Sometimes people tap on these points to kind of realign with what they want for themselves. And as a group, I think that's what we're gonna do today. We're gonna realign with what we want for ourselves. Can somebody in the chat please put something that they're looking to gain within themselves? It could be more self-love, more self-care, confidence. Jessica says confidence, healing, self-love. All right, beautiful. So this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna do 3 rounds. 1 round we'll do on confidence. 1 round we'll do on healing. And the other round we'll do on self-love. All right, so we can start here. This is where we usually say our statement. Usually we say, for instance, if I didn't love myself, and I had just realized that right now what's true for me is that I don't love myself. You could say, even though I don't love myself at this moment, I completely and deeply love and accept myself. But we're not going to do that because we're just going to tap in on the positive, and we're going to do it with confidence. So we're going to say to ourselves, I have confidence, and I completely and deeply love and accept myself. Let's do that one more time. You can do some deep breaths while we're in there. I have confidence, and I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Let's do a deep breath on that one. I have confidence, and I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Now, when we tap on the other points, all we have to say is I have confidence. So on top of our head, I have confidence. Let's breathe in and breathe out. Between our eyebrows, I have confidence. And breathe in and breathe out. On the side of the eyebrow, I have confidence. And breathe in and breathe out. Under the eye, I have confidence. Breathe in and breathe out. And we can switch over to I am confident if that's more truth for you, more real for you. So I am confident. Breathe in and breathe out. Under the lip, I am confident. Breathe in and breathe out. And we can play around with these statements. We can say, I know that I am confidence. And breathe in. And breathe out. Under the arm, I am confident. And breathe in. And breathe out. And then the last point here, I am confidence. And you breathe in and breathe out. Now we get started on healing. So let's say I am completely healed of my past. Let's do that one. I am completely healed of my past. Let's breathe in and breathe out. I am completely healed of my past, and I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Breathe in and breathe out. On top of the head. I am completely healed of my past. Breathe in and breathe out. Between the forehead, the eyebrows. I am completely healed of my past. Breathe in and breathe out. In your temples. I am completely healed of my past. Breathe in and breathe out. Under the eye, I am completely healed of my past. Breathe in and breathe out. Under the nose, I am completely healed of my past. Breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out. Under the lip, I am completely healed of my past. Breathe in and breathe out. I am completely healed of my past. Breathe in and breathe out. Under the arm, I am completely healed of my past. Breathe in and breathe out. And the last point here, I am completely healed of my past. Breathe in and breathe out. Now we can continue here doing our last round of tapping. And this one is about self-love. So we can stick with the usual script. I deeply and completely love and accept myself just the way I am. Breathe in and breathe out. I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Breathe in and breathe out. I deeply and completely love and accept myself. I deeply and completely love myself. I love myself. Breathe in and breathe out. At your temples, breathe in and breathe out. Under your eye, breathe in and breathe out. I love myself. Breathe in and breathe out. Under the lip. I love myself. Breathe in and breathe out. On your chest. I love myself. Breathe in and breathe out. Under the arm. I completely love myself. Breathe in and breathe out. Last point right here. I love myself so much. Breathe in and breathe out. One more nice full deep breath. Breathe in and just let it all out. All right, our tapping is complete. Can you guys either unmute yourselves and let me know how that was for you, or put a comment in the chat box? How was the EFT tapping for you? Did you yawn? Did you have any tears? Anything cool happen? Or did you feel any resistance in your body? Jessica says it was very relaxing. Ashley says, amazing. I yawned and felt calm. My back hurt more. Wow, yeah. Yeah, so Sharna, that's something that can absolutely happen. Because we're tapping, sometimes when we're tapping into something that has a lot of emotional weight for us, it can get a little bit worse before it gets better. So sometimes that can happen. If I could recommend something, I would say after this, continue to tap on those points for maybe 10 to 15 minutes to see what may happen for you. And you can always reach me offline and let me know, and we can work on that for you. Anybody else? No problem at all. All right, so we're at exactly an hour, or maybe a little bit over. So thank you so much for showing up today, for being here today, for showing up for yourself. It was amazing to have all of you guys here today, for you taking your time, especially on Valentine's Day. But I just feel like today is a day where some of us experience a lot of happiness and a lot of joy, and that's wonderful. But for some of us, it could be a painful reminder of certain things. And so I wanted to be of a support today to help to spread that healing, that love, to help others to tune into that heart energy that we all possess, and to not just leave this as a practice that you do today. You can always continue to expand on that heart energy, on your heart center. Thank you, India. I'm so happy that you liked it. This definitely left me feeling connected and supported. Thank you so much, Ashley, for coming. This was great. Thank you. This was amazing. Thank you, Briselli. I second that, India. Do more. Okay, so that's the last thing that I leave you with. I'm going to continue to do these free workshops once a month. And on a weekly basis, I'm going to be doing a workshop on Wednesday, starting March 3rd, Wednesday at 7:30. I'm going to be doing workshops. They're going to be $10. And like I said, the most important thing for me is to give access to people to these types of workshops. Therapy sometimes can be expensive, and we right now are going through something as a collective during this pandemic that is really taking a toll on our mental health. And sometimes just having the support of other people that are in this with us is really helpful. So like I said, once a month, I'm going to be doing the free workshops. I'll be putting it on Eventbrite. You can always email me if you want to know when the next workshop is going to be. And I'm also going to be putting it as a Facebook event, and I'm opening up a YouTube channel and a podcast. So all of those things are coming. And I'm just so happy that I can be here as a support, and I'm so happy for you guys not only showing up for yourselves but showing up today. I really, really appreciate it. All right, so that's the end. Sharna, yes, I'm so happy for you. All right, bye everyone. Thank you so much for coming today. Thank you. This has been illuminating and refreshing. Thank you, Jean. I appreciate it so much. Thank you for coming today.